So guys, welcome back to RBR and to the fourth generation of what is probably one of the most desirable cars on the entire planet. Certainly the most desirable car if you want a track toy, and that is Porsche's fabled GT3. And for good reason, because the pedigree behind this thing is incredible. I read a really interesting thing from the father of the GT3, who was Mcpherson, who said when he originally envisioned this car as a successor to the Carrera RS, he had to fight for it to get approved by Porsche's board, who were back then really focused on volume, high volume sales, hence the 996 platform being shared with the Boxster. And they said, fine, you can go ahead with it, but only if it doesn't hurt the brand, which is mind-blowing when you look now with hindsight and see what a flagship the GT3 name has become for Porsche. Today, we have the fourth generation. As I said, it brings many, many changes, though not on the surface of it if you read the spec sheet, but inside, loads done to make this even faster than the GT3 RS of the previous generation. Today is the first UK drive here, so we're going to check out both the PDK and the manual in two very different specifications, one more purist in road use and one for track use. So let's dive in and check out this fourth generation of the brand new 992 Porsche GT3. So, we've done a lot of the new 992 on RBR. It's been one of my favorite cars, even in its base form, which I reviewed recently. I called it the gem of the Porsche lineup, and it really is. It's such a capable car for a base model car with no options that really you don't need anything else. But then you drive something like the Turbo S, 650 brake horsepower, loads of GT type flavour within it, all-wheel drive, all-year use, such practicality, and essentially one of the quickest cars that you will ever drive on the road in any condition. It makes you think, is this the king of the Porsche lineup? And then Porsche go and show something like this, the new GT3. Available in either PDK or in the manual version today. We're going to have a first look at both of them. Before that, I'm going to give you a little recap on what makes the new GT3 new. So we're going to dive into some of the technical changes, then I'll show you the difference between the two specs here, which are quite interesting if anyone is looking at speccing one. And then finally, we're going to go out here on Anglesey Circuit and check out both PDK and manual as a first look. The first and most important thing about the new GT3 is it comes back with the 4-litre naturally aspirated engine that's shared with the current GT3 Cup car almost unchanged. So it's been well tested in motorsport, and it returns within a GT3 in a world that we live in at the moment that is totally against naturally aspirated engines. The engine makes 510 brake horsepower, 10 up from the last car, the same as the 3RS now, slightly up on torque as well, up to 470, and the 0-60 is said to be 3.4 seconds. Now, despite the car being larger, wider, having bigger wheels, having more in terms of technology and things like the OPF, etc. within it, it still is as light as the previous generation car at 1,418 kilos in the manual, 1,435 in the PDK version. Indeed, the PDK that we have within this is actually lighter than the one used in the last GT3, and we have a lightweight exhaust system which is lighter than the one fitted to the previous car, and wait till you hear it because it maintains some of that lovely Porsche motorsport character within it. We've also got larger brakes than before at 408 versus the previous 380. These weigh 17% less, and if you get the carbon ceramic brakes, they weigh half the amount compared to the standard brakes. There's also lightweight glass in all the windows. We've got the rear seat cover, which is lightweight as well. We have extensive use of carbon fibre, like a carbon fibre bonnet, carbon fibre rear wing. You've got the option of a carbon fibre roof. The battery used is lighter as well. And altogether, it gives you a power to weight ratio of 2.8 kg per PS, which is even closer to a motorsport car than before. So a really good job here by Porsche's engineers. One of the main differences you'll hear and read about is about the front suspension. And it's all about double wishbone suspension. Journalists and drivers going mental about it. What is it all really about? Come a bit closer and I'll tell you about it. So guys, what you see here is what every other GT3 and 911 has had so far, and that is Mcpherson Strut suspension, a system that takes up less space, and they used it because it was cheaper to have on every single 911. Our 992 GT3 is the first ever road-going 911 to have double wishbone suspension, much like our racing cars. With less arms, a Mcpherson strut suspension has less balance, whereas the double wishbone stabilizes in the shoulder area to give better camber stiffness, better tyre contact, steering precision, and better braking stability. But it goes further, as now you can manually adjust the coilover suspension just like you can in the GT3 Racer. In addition to this, the 5-link rear suspension has additional ball joints on the lower wishbones to help with more rigidity and more precision. We also have helper springs to help your main springs have more spring travel and thus more contact on the ground in more exaggerated maneuvers. So that's quite clever. And our adaptive shock absorbers act even quicker depending on how you're driving, either slower or more dynamically. And finally, you've got up to 2 degrees on your rear wheel steering as well. Additionally to this, there's loads been done aerodynamically, and you can see that from the way that the face of the car has evolved over time. Particularly of interest is actually the rear diffuser. Firstly, the entire underbody of the car is completely cladded for aerodynamics, and the front splitter works in tandem with that in order to push air to the new rear diffuser, where you'll find fins at the bottom. And again, this was developed with the 911 RSR to create a vacuum under the car, almost sticking the car to the road. Then it's the bit that everybody notices, of course, is the new swan neck on the rear, which holds the wing, which looks quite fantastic, again derived from the 911 RSR. This allows air to flow more freely underneath it and provides 50% more downforce in its normal setting versus the old one. If you set it up to its full track settings, 150% more downforce thanks to that swan neck. All of this has allowed the car to achieve a Nürburgring time quicker than the last GT3 RS, which is mind-blowing. And this is just our base GT3. Now, you can also get a touring package GT3 like the previous generation. It is technically unchanged from this, other than, of course, missing the rear wing in favor of the aerodynamic wing you get from the Carrera S. You have a completely painted front end, which looks rather wonderful. You get more interior options, a few other slight design changes as well. It's quite lovely, can't wait to see that. And finally, this is now available for the first time with PDK as a no-cost option, which is pretty cool. Now, next time that we see this car on the channel, we're going to do a road review and I'll show you the full history of the GT3 from 1999 till today, so watch out for that. Until then, next, let's explore the design of this. And to do that, we're going to check out both the PDK car we have here and the manual and see the little changes between the two of them. So guys, let's have a look at the new 992's design and just appreciate some of the bits first. Now, what you need to understand is no body part is shared with the standard 911, apart from the doors and the roof. So everything is bespoke to GT3, which is quite a nice thing to begin with. Now, let's have a look at some of the specific parts. First of all, I absolutely love the wheels. As I explained, the spec was inspired from the 996 GT3. As always, center locking design, 5 twin spokes. You can either have them in silver, satin black, and you can get either a shark blue ring or a red ring around it if you want it as well. And these are adorned by Michelin's Cup 2 tyre. Of course, on our white car, we have the carbon ceramic brakes, as I showed you earlier. As I said, front is totally unique. So you can see you've got a whole new bonnet structure here, which has got different lines, still very much like the 993 cuts, but more exaggerated. And then within the front bonnet, you'll see when we get close up, the nostrils are now set within the carbon fibre reinforced bonnet. And notice that grille shape, because you'll see it again on the rear spoiler in a minute. Lower air intakes taken direct from the GT3 Cup car, very exaggerated, a lot of black plastic versus, say, the Touring. But I actually think it looks very nice. It's kind of menacing in almost a fighter jet type way. On our shark blue manual car here, you can see we have the silver wheels, which are quite lovely, with the steel brakes. We've also got the protective foil in matte black on the rear, mimicking 964, etc. It's quite a nice touch, I actually think. Adds some nice contrast to the rear area. Speaking of the rear, you can see now our swan neck wing, which looks lovely, minimalistic in design, but really effective in its aerodynamic working. And then we come to the rear. You see you've got the lovely 4-litre badge over the engine cover. Look at the grille within the spoiler, like I said, matching the design of the grille on the front nostrils. Again, lovely. Then we come to the most important part on the back, which is the functional rear diffuser. You can see the aerodynamic fins within there, the amount of downforce and suction it creates on the road. Very, very impressive. All in all, I think one of the cleanest looking GT3 designs we've ever had. I love the wing. I love how sharp all the details are. I think this one is going to age very, very well indeed. So guys, here we are inside the PDK version of the new GT3. And though it doesn't look like the PDK one, does it? I mean, look at the gear shifter here. Andreas Pruninger, who is head of GT product, said, we don't always want to be on the pedals. It's nice to have a nice shifter here. And I absolutely agree with him. It's something that I've said in every 992 review that we've had, that the little short shifter just doesn't excite. I preferred the old one where you could switch it to the left and change gears sequentially. So this one looks exactly the same as our manual stick in the Shark Blue car. And this is great. This totally sets GT3 apart. You'll see the nice little GT3 logo underneath it as well. There's quite an interesting spec as we saw on the outside. That's kind of carried through inside, and they've got the Shark Blue stitching. We've got the full carbon bucket seats here. They're lovely. You've got race text in the middle, perforated with shiny bits of, I guess there's blue fabric underneath it. It's lovely when the light hits it. You've got, again, the blue stitching on the sides. Lovely Shark Blue belts as well, which look fantastic. And GT3 inscribed on the headrest. I'm a big fan of these buckets. I don't tend to like them generally, like I haven't gone on with the Recaro ones, the pole position ones, because they come out too much in the wings, but this is just right. It doesn't push my shoulders forward too much. It's a really comfortable place to be. And you feel just in the right position to be seated in front of the lovely, slim Porsche GT steering wheel. The thing I love about this steering wheel, it's as close as we're ever going to get in the modern age to a simple, round steering wheel with not that many buttons. The buttons have been almost hidden away within the spokes, which is great. You've got your drive select here. Again, I think it's very useful to have that in terms of safety, so you're not messing around with any bits and bobs here while you're driving. But I think in modern cars, it's my favorite steering wheel. Slim, round, small, and not too many buttons, and none of that touch nonsense that's found its way into so many cars today. Behind that, we've got the driver zone. You see the GT3 logo in there, some nice yellow details again. Unique in this is a track mode screen, which changes both sides to give you necessary information just for track driving, which is really important for us today, being at Anglesey. But generally, I love the fact we've got the analog screen, we've got the digital screens on the side, all reminiscent of past Porsches, but linking nicely to the future with something like Taycan as well. Of course, this is Club Sport package, so we have got the full roll cage in the back. That package also comes with a fire extinguisher, 6-point harness, etc. Again, really more for track focus. Let's go now and check out our manual car. So here we have the interior of the manual, and as you can see, thanks to the colorway as well, it looks identical to our PDK version. The shifter looks exactly the same as well. You haven't got the button to change gear. Of course, it's a proper manual. What's nice that you'll see later is the very short shift distance in order to change gear here, which is very, very nice in practice. And then we haven't got the roll cage, of course, so you've got the empty rear section here. But apart from that, everything looking exactly the same. So whether you choose manual or PDK, the look of your interior is identical, which is quite nice. Now, let's go and listen to what this engine sounds like. It's got a mean and nasty bark, this car, and that's just when it's standing still. Wait till you hear it when we get out on track. It is, I think it's the poster boy for good sound in the post-OPF era. Something that truly sticks with you because it sounds so motorsport. Let's see what this car is like out on Anglesey Track. Right guys, here we are, PDK, new 992 GT3, Anglesey circuit. Sun is starting to come out. It's looking brighter than my future already. And I have to wear this silly thing. I'm sorry about that, but it's just the way things are with track sessions in cars like these. We're gonna start off with a nice slow pace. Really get, you know, that first 100 yards feel for a new car. First of all, oh my God, the turn-in is lovely. Wow, I was not expecting such a big difference on the turn-in. My goodness. This is of course the effect of that double wishbone suspension on the front. You're talking little differences versus, let's say even 3RS I want to compare this car to. But it's enough. It's about the precision that you get on the front end. It is seriously noticeable on your first corner with this car. It's so much more direct. The feedback you're getting is fantastic. You've got improved camber, you've got improved contact on the front as well. And the other thing you can see immediately is just how bloody good this thing sounds. Brakes, we've got the carbon ceramics on this. Of course, stopping power is awesome. Look at this thing go. The grip is immense. And what's so interesting to me is, particularly in these exaggerated hairpins, is not only have you got that fantastic cornering feel on the front end, when you start to feel the traction go in the front, the rear immediately hooks up. The two are just so well connected to each other. It feels like you're driving almost something that's square shaped with wheels on each corner. I need to talk a little bit about PDK as well. And the shifts, as we saw with 2RS and 3RS, are absolutely instantaneous. And this is the motorsport feel that you're not going to get with the manual. It's its own intoxicating feeling to be able to shift as quick as an F1 driver for the purposes of an amazing lap time. There is no automatic box that I've ever tried that's faster than this one. Changes gear even before the lever has gone back into neutral position. And that is then the benefit of the PDK, isn't it? And the speed. I've got butterflies. This thing is so fast. And it's got the braking power as well. Wonderful. And it's every bit as quick as you want it to be. It's not maniacal fast though, like, you know, the GT2 RS feels. It's nothing on that level. But of course, it's not meant to be. What I love about it is, whereas standard 992 is so capable and has so much breadth of ability, it feels quite easy to drive, even the rear-wheel drive. I've mentioned how good the grip is on the rear-wheel drive car. When you drive the GT3, what's great about it is it's intimidating. And that to me is what the GT product is all about. Whether it's 2RS or not, they are all in some way linked to the Widowmaker for me. And that's the position that they deserve to be in. This is such a joy to drive. I hope some of this is coming through on screen for you guys as well. Just how, I mean, how bloody good does it sound? This sounds like motorsport. How does this thing have an OPF? I just don't understand how Porsche are doing this. Yeah, there's no bangs and pops and all that artificial stuff, but it sounds like a proper GT product engine. So just to interrupt you guys, we are now in the manual version, just to get an idea of, you know, a slightly more involving drive, not necessarily as frantic as PDK. It's actually lovely. I love how short it is, I love how sharp it is. You know, it really, really gives you some wonderful, wonderful feeling. And it just shifts instantly with a flick of a wrist. And this is a small emotional quirk that you just can't enjoy inside the PDK, and it's a quirk that means so much to Porsche lovers. That for some, it's the difference between actually buying the car and not buying it. And I totally get that, because the GT Sport gear shifter in this is fantastic. a hugely exciting car to drive, whether it is PDK or manual, both with their own flavour. The PDK, so great for that motorsport feeling, reduces the white noise for a driver, really allows you to truly manipulate the strengths of the GT3. And then the manual, so much pleasure, a fantastic gearbox. For the person looking for the emotional experience every now and then, there's just nothing better than that in the world. Now I really want to try these on the road, because the great thing about the GT3 cars, as opposed to their more powerful brothers, is how good they are as dailies as well. That's going to happen very soon. I hope you've enjoyed this first drive of the new Porsche GT3. Touring still to come, road drive of GT3 still to come. Guys, if you've enjoyed this, please do like, subscribe and share this video. And like all of you guys watching, I think another couple of laps would do just fine. See you guys next time.